session, karibuni sana. Naona kuna usual suspects, good luck. Mara nyingi sana tuko pamoja hapa, Alex, Ayubu, and whoever is new to the session, karibu sana. So before, as we wait for our facilitator to join, I would like to give a little bit introduction about TARO in this program, Tax Talks with TARO. Then after that, I'll just introduce the topic, and I hope by then our facilitator CPA Matthew HUDSON would have joined us already. Yeah, so TARO is a non-governmental organization that was formed last year, 2021. We were officially registered last year. As the name stands, Tanzania Tax Awareness and Research Organization. Our vision is to create a society or facilitate a society that is aware about its tax laws. It's a society that is aware, well-informed, updated, but also they feel more confident about paying taxes because they are more aware of what the law says, but also they minimize the risks that are associated with not complying with taxes. So that's basically our aim. We are in all social media platforms under the same name. For Twitter and Instagram is TARO_TZ. For LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube is our full name, Tanzania Tax Awareness and Research Organization. And our website too is up and running. You can just search us and see what we do, what our missions are, and what our projects are. That's shortly about TARO. About our program today. So this is we call it Tax Talks with TARO. It's a platform where we invite experts every week, every Thursday, to come and discuss different topics about taxation law in Tanzania. So it's a free platform, and what we aim to achieve with this platform is the same, aligned to our vision, to create a society where, and by society I mean multiple stakeholders. As we all know, taxation is not a topic for just a few. Taxes affect everybody in our daily lives. And it's unfortunate this topic is not very much taught in school, and sometimes nobody knows anything about taxes until when they get themselves in a situation where now they're either in trouble with maybe the TRI, or they're in trouble in some sort of, maybe they started a business and now they've got a big liability. So this platform, these webinars, these weekly webinars, we aim at, first of all, making people more aware of the tax laws, how they impact them, how they can go about them, but also just to give multiple stakeholders free knowledge about taxes and how they need to arrange their affairs. So this program has been running for about 2 months now. We started in March. This is May, yes, so it's about 2 months. We have been running this program every Thursday. We have a different topic, a different facilitator who is well experienced, and we use registered tax consultants. So we know their capabilities, we know their experiences, and we usually look for facilitators who are in that area of practice and the expertise is around that area. So that's what we do. For those who have not joined us before, I welcome you to this platform. It's a very good platform for you to learn. We usually post topics, monthly topics in our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So if you visit our social media platforms, you'll get to see the topics for the rest of May, as well as after some time we'll post the topics of June. So we usually post topics 1 month before, so you can just be following up and see what topic is of interest to you, so that you can attend and then so today we'll be talking about taxation of expatriates as per the Income Tax Act. And our facilitator will be CPA Matthew HUDSON. He's an experienced tax consultant with over a decade of experience. He has worked with the Big Four, Deloitte before, and after that he decided to open his own consultants firm called Christ Advisory. So he will be taking us through our topic today, that is taxation for expatriates in Tanzania. With that said, as I look upon our list, our facilitator has not joined, so I hope I've said quite a lot about who we are, Stitaro, and what we do. So as we wait for our facilitator, I'll invite any questions with regards to Stitaro. If there's anybody who wants to know more, or we can also just unmute your mic and introduce yourself as we wait for our facilitator today.
Going into the development of the economy, there is a lot of multinational companies which are joining Tanzania economy to ensure that they are utilizing whatever resources or whatever available raw materials to make sure they are generating profits for their sister companies in other countries. Emerging of this, development of these multinational companies, establishment of these multinational companies is what result with the taxation for expatriate. Yeah, we can just, Income Tax Act does not have direct definition of who is an expatriate in Tanzania, but if you check some of the definition, expatriate is an employee or a person who decided to work in other country apart from the country of origin. For example, the person comes from maybe USA, United States of America, comes to Tanzania to work with a certain multinational company, let's say Coca-Cola, Kwanza, and during the employment in Tanzania, there are some taxation which we are expecting he or she will incur based on the Tanzanian tax rule, which one of them is based on the Section 66 and Section 67 of the Income Tax Act, which determine the individual income based on residential status and source rule. So we are going to check out, we are going to just highlight just few points, not comprehensive, of what are the basic implication of the staff of the or an expatriate or an employee who decided to work in Tanzania and he or she is not a resident of Tanzania or a citizen of Tanzania. Okay, sometimes it can be other way around. If a Tanzanian decided to work in Uganda or Kenya, they have different jurisdiction in terms of income tax act. They have different treatment in terms, even different bands in terms of taxation of an individual. For example, if Ayubu decided to go to Australia, in Australia, every income Ayubu will be earning will be charged at the rate of 40%. They have 40% as compared to us in Tanzania, we have 30%. Even Kenya, they have different tax band. Uganda, they have different tax bands. Rwanda, they have different tax band. So it's very important to have at least a pool. If the person moves from other country to another country, what will be the tax implication? What will be the treatment of my income? Will my income be taxable in that country which I'll be operating, or it will be charged in the country where I am from? Let's say Ayubu decided to go to work under Titaro in Uganda. We are paying Ayubu Wairi because he's an employee of Titaro. Taro, Tanzania, who has been transferred to Taro, Uganda. If we don't have any double taxation agreement between Uganda and Tanzania, the income which Ayubu is earning in Tanzania will be taxable based on the source rule, while in Uganda, the same income will be taxable based on residential purpose. And when I say residential, it's a little bit different from the national residential. This is a taxable or resident status according to the Income Tax Act. It's not the same like the resident permit somebody is earning when he wants to work in Tanzania or any foreign country. So we are going to highlight of this implication, and in case if you meet with an expatriate who want to come to Tanzania and want to understand what will be the tax implication, this training will give you the basic of whatever will impact his or her income during stays in Tanzania. So as I've been explaining the definition of expatriate, there is a various definition, but I've just taken the simple one to ensure that we get a full understanding of what we are going to discuss. Is the person who is a transferred with the company or decided to work in another country apart from the country of origin, and in that country he is expecting the remuneration, he is expecting the salary, he is expecting to pay even non-cash benefits like the house, he is expected to be provided with the motor vehicle, he is expected to be provided maybe with other social benefit, social security benefits like NSSF and the other things. But the question always behind this expatriate is whether his income will be taxable in Tanzania or where he is coming from, because of these two kind of residential and the social rule. So by starting, let me read section 66 as I've been explaining, to see what will be the implication of this person who's decided to come to Tanzania to work under a certain project according to a certain company. Maybe the company has just shifted that person to Tanzania to work with a certain project, and he is here now with Titaro, one of the Titaro staff, and want to get the highlights. What will be the implication of his income? Let's say in this country of origin, his income is taxed. Maybe he's being paid under the net amount, and at the same time, the person is in Tanzania. You want to understand what will be the issue. Yeah, so as I've just highlighted, the first thing is to check the residential condition of that person. If the person is in Tanzania, working in Tanzania under a certain multinational company, under section 66, it will just minutes. I'm just checking some documents. Income Tax Act, section 66. Yeah, under section 66, there is a condition of this person who comes to you and asks you, what will be my implication? My income is from United States of America. I'm now working in Tanzania. What will be my implication? The first things, the residential status of that person. If the person stays in Tanzania for more than 183 days, which is equivalent to 6 months, according to Income Tax Act, that person becomes a resident under tax rules. If the guy or a person says, I'm here in Tanzania for more than 6 months, then his income will be charged as per residential as any other staff or any other person who has been locally employed. And from that condition, yeah, he will fall under the local tax bands, and the income either it is from home country or the one is being paid in Tanzania, will be charged pay as you earn. So those are the first condition. The second condition, if in aggregate stays more than 122 days and on average for 2 years and the one consecutively, yeah, those are the second condition for person to qualify to be a resident and the tax for tax purpose, and the income and will be taxable according to Tanzania or local bans applicable to any other local employees. But if the expatriate stays less than 183 days, which is equivalent to less than 6 months, then that expatriate is being entitled as a non-resident under Income Tax Act. And the only implication on tax base will be 15% of every amount he is earning in Tanzania. But if he clocks to 183 days, the status changes from non-residents and becomes residents under Income Tax Act, at which you will just change from 15% to local tax bands as applicable to employees in Tanzania. Those are the two key conditions in terms of residential status. Also in terms of the person who is working in Tanzania, and the other one in terms of source rule, it's more applicable if the person is leaving Tanzania and go outside Tanzania and work in other multinational out there. So these are the two key things to make sure the person is get an understanding when he or she decided to work in Tanzania while his or her income is being paid outside Tanzania. TRA will charge that income because of the residential rules as per residential status, provided there is no any double tax agreement with that other country. Yeah, so these are the key issue. But in terms of this issue of double tax agreement, I've just come across with a certain especially for NGOs, they signed the contract with the United Republic of Tanzania, the government of United Republic of Tanzania, that we are coming here in Tanzania to establish an NGO. We have a certain ABCD expatriate from other countries which are not Tanzanian, and they're coming to work in Tanzania. And in that agreement, though we don't have a double tax agreement, but we want our employees to not be taxed double in Tanzania and where the income is being earned in the home country. So in that agreement, there is a citation which explains that all the expatriates from from the home country working in Tanzania, they are not supposed to be taxed. In practical way, I've been seeing TRA taxing those expatriates on the basis that those agreements were not gazetted as per the requirement of Income Tax Act. That yes, we've been agreed that these expatriates will not be charged, but the condition to ensure that the tax is being exempted is as per requirements of Income Tax Act, which want those exemptions to be gazetted under the government gazette. I mean the newspaper. That these people or these staffs or this NGO has got this staff which are exempted under the Income Tax Act. So you'll find out the NGO is being penalized for the NGOs which does not fulfill the requirement of Income Tax Act, that they need to gazette those exemption. But for those NGOs which has got exemption and have been gazetted those exemption under the Income Tax Act and the requirement by the commissioner, then they can just have the exemption of being of the income which has been earned by these expatriate. But what I'm trying to establish is there is a possibility of double taxation for an expatriate who is working in Tanzania in case there is no double tax agreement and the income which is being paid to this expatriate is being paid in the home country. I've just taken an example of United States of America or United Kingdoms. The person is from United Kingdoms, is being paid from United Kingdoms, he has account in United Kingdoms, but operating in Tanzania for more than 6 months, then TRA would want that income to be charged the payee, and United Kingdoms will want the same amount to be charged to payee, with the exception of the double tax agreement between these two countries. So these are the things to check out. These are the things to discuss with the person who is coming from outside Tanzania, who want to understand what will be the tax implication. The first thing is to tell him or her about the residential issues. Other things is about whether there is a double taxation agreement between the home countries coming from and Tanzania. If there is no double tax agreement, whether there is an agreement with the United Republic of Tanzania and that agreement has been gazetted under the Tanzania government newspaper, and this application has been passed to the commissioner, that they have been exempted. So these are the 4 conditions which can allow the person to be exempted from or be charged for the tax while working in Tanzania. So you will find, for example, a certain oil company want to remove burden of double taxation agreement, double taxation of their employees, because you'll find them an employee in Tanzania don't have to come to Tanzania and work with you. What these companies do, they bring that person in Tanzania, they what we can call it a shadow payroll. They put him in the payroll with the amount equivalent to Tanzania rate and the tax paid, which will be required paid in Tanzania, and the company pays these expatriates, they pay as you earn on behalf of an expatriate. However, in the latest ruling by the court, they ruled out there is a case between commissioner and a certain company, because TRA said that if you pay as you earn on behalf of this employee, that is also a benefit. You are giving him the benefit because he's not suffering from the income he's receiving as residence rule in Tanzania, because he's already a resident. He's supposed to suffer, pay as you earn, and the company decide to pay on behalf of that staff. TRA says then that is a benefit to that person, and it's also need to be taxed again. So in practical, by experience, you'll find these companies, they have to pass all the process of recruitment of this person to be as recruited, a local, to localize. There's a terminology called localize, to localize this expatriate so that he can be under the payroll, though there is no actual cash which has been deducted, but from the payroll they establish the pay. Actually, it's a changes of modality, but the same thing, whatever from whatever prior time where the company was paying on behalf, and a certain other side of where the company now localize this person so that they can pay as well as the local person, while the income is being paid from the home country. It's a little bit complication, but if the company employs the good measure, then they will just remove this issue of double taxation of the same income. But you will find another company says that to remove this issue of double taxation, if this person from UK want to work in Tanzania, then they stop paying that person from UK. They say now you can go to Tanzania and work as just a local person. And what they are doing when they come to Tanzania to ensure that this person is not getting benefit of the tax band. I give you the example, a person from Australia. If the person is being paid in Australia, then 40% of the income will be taxed as pay as well. But if the same person comes in Tanzania with the same salary, in Tanzania is 30% of whatever he's supposed to earn when he was in Australia. So, by practical, what they are doing in Tanzania, there is something called hypothetical taxation, whereby they equalize the amount he's paying in Australia as per Tanzania, so that whatever the tax is incurred in home country, because here he will just get the benefit of 10% from the 40% from Australia. Now he is in Tanzania with the same salary from Australia under 30%. So there is a 10% which a benefit for moving from Australia to Tanzania. But what this company is doing and what the tax system they have in other countries, what they are doing, they do some hypothetical taxation and equalization to ensure that this 30% which has been deducted in Tanzania, then 10% will just go back to Australia Revenue Authority. Likewise, the same wherever there is a different tax band, right? Assume that maybe Burundi have got 20% of tax band, and in Tanzania is 30% tax band, and the person comes from Burundi come to operate in Tanzania, and this tax band is being suffered in Tanzania will be the refund of tax in the home country when he will go back. Though most of the time, these revenue authorities, they don't give you cash as a refund; they just offset against any future tax liability. So these are the environment of this type of employees who called expatriates they are facing. Another thing which they usually very keen of, the issue of income, return of income. Most of developed countries, individual file income. I mean, they file return at the end of the year, and then he's coming Tanzania. And during the discussion that whatever earning he's earning, he's not supposed to file any return at the end of the year unless he has other income apart from employment. Actually, the Income Tax Act requires a person with other income apart from employment to file a return as individual. But if he just receives only salary, then there is no need of filing an income at the end of the year as an individual. But if you have other income apart from employment, maybe you have a house, then you rent the house, you receive earnings at the end of the year. Whatever the earning you are receiving apart from your income from employees, so those are the things, the issues when it comes to return, and you keep trying to explain according to the law. But after being the residence, after stays more than 6 months, if he has other, because a residence person is also taxed under worldwide income. If you are in Tanzania and you have other income in China, and you've already been a resident in Tanzania, tax authority, TRA, will want you to report that income from China in your return at the end of the year, because as I've said, the laws require you to file a return as individual at the end of the year in case you have any income apart from employment. But also, the law applies to worldwide income. If you have another income outside Tanzania, the laws require you to report to the Tanzania Revenue Authority and pay whatever the implication tax applied on that income under Income Tax Act. For example, there is this chief executive officer of a certain bank, comes in Tanzania, operate for more than 3 years, and the time he's leaving Tanzania for the last time, he's selling his property in Tanzania and other properties in Kenya. He's going back to United Kingdom. So whatever he's been selling outside Tanzania, TRA will want him to report. And the earning, for example, if he's selling a certain boat, the 10% capital gain tax will also need to be reported in Tanzania for the 3 years. If the boat has been bought 5 years back, then those 3 years taxable. Tax will be supposed to be remitted to revenue authority. Okay, let me take another example. There is this maybe chief executive officer. He bought share when he was joining, maybe let me say Microsoft. He bought shares 10 years back from Microsoft. He comes to Tanzania. Within 10 years, he operated in Tanzania 2 years for those shares he bought in America from Microsoft. And in Tanzania, he went maybe another year and resigned when he's in Kenya. Upon resignation, he was supposed to remit the 10% from the dividends he has been receiving from income for the 2 years he was working in Tanzania, because those 2 years, according to Income Tax Act, the income was resulted as the resident papa person in Tanzania, and the benefits he received from those shares resulted when he was working in Tanzania. So Revenue Authority will say, in your 10 years shares bought, you stayed in Tanzania for 2 years. We want 2 years shares to remit to Tanzania Revenue Authority, because you reside in Uganda, but you worked also in Tanzania for 2 years. You have to remit those amounts in United Republic of Tanzania. Those are environments they are facing, these expatriates, when they are operating. When it comes to the bench, whatever the income they are earning, they are very sensitive to ensure that they comply, because those countries, when it comes to revenue, when it comes to tax, they can even jail you regardless of your title. You can be even a good footballer, but since once you default, they can even take you in jail for the default. So they are very keen when it comes to the issue of taxation. So by practical, we've also come across those expatriates when they say when they want to live in Tanzania, they request certificate from Tanzania Revenue Authority. Actually, we don't have the specific rules for those certificates, but as per the discussion with the Revenue Authority, they just issued the letter to ensure that the person was working in Tanzania, and during the time he was working in Tanzania, tax A, B, C, D were deducted from income. He takes those letters, go back to home country, and he says, I stayed in Tanzania, but I was also taxed in Tanzania. So the home country can leave him alone. Says, okay, you didn't default outside our jurisdiction. So those are the key practical, more practical than theoretical, because of the quality of these tax issues pertaining to these individuals, pertaining to expatriates who are working in more than one country, and they are earning in more than one country. So these are the So I think I've just tried to exhaust. Maybe I'll just check in case during the discussion, whatever, there will be some other additional or more clarification required. But these are some major issues to consider when it comes to tax on expatriates. They are facing some issues where the local employees, you may not find being an issue to your side as an employee, but when it comes to their levels, they are very sensitive because they are being audited when they are coming back from host country like Tanzania to home country like UK. They are being interrogated, they are being interviewed, they are being is they have to provide the briefing. So when they come here, you have to have the full knowledge of what will be the implication. If he sells something, then tax has about to be employed. Yeah, so there is other countries. I faced the person from I think Dubai, I think, if I'm not mistaken, where during the discussion, when I was trying to explain about pay as you earn, they said, in my country, then there is no such a thing. Maybe you have to teach me what pay as you earn is, and why do we deduct from our income? Is that a penalty that you have come to work to Tanzania, or what is that? Then you have to explain that this is according to your residential status. If you say less than 6 months, less than 183 days, then this will be at the 15th of your income. But above that, then you will be treated as a local person, as just normal employees. Yeah, so apart from this, also the issue of the NSSF. In Tanzania, it's a mandatory for an employer. When you employ a person, one of the things you have to remit to National Social Security Fund, and by private companies, we say is NSSF. Yeah, if this expatriate comes to Tanzania, remember he's being paid from the home country, from where he's coming from, as an example for Australia, UK, or United States of America. And they contribute for the social security to their home country. And they are coming to Tanzania. NSSF say you have also to contribute because it's a mandatory, it's a law, you have to comply. But at the end of the day, it's very difficult to receive this amount as an individual because you've stayed just for 2 years and then you are starting to struggle getting your 2 years national social security. By the way, even the company will not allow you to receive both social security in Tanzania and your home country. So what they are doing when they come to Tanzania, they write a letter to NSSF to request for special treatment of this expatriate, whereby the company contributes full 20% to NSSF. And at the resignation of this expatriate, the company takes back 20% as it is from Social Security for the purpose of compliance, not paying that employee. It just contributes on behalf of the employee 20% as opposed to 10%, because under the normal circumstances, 10% from employee, 10% from employer. Since this expatriate is being paid from the home country where he's coming from, and there's also Social Security there, then he don't have to have another Social Security in Tanzania. Even the laws from the home country does not allow them to have another Social Security outside their jurisdiction. What is the local company in Tanzania doing? What is the multinational operating in Tanzania is doing? It just contribute the full amount of 20%, and at the end of the day, withdraw that amount for only purpose of compliance to this type of individual rotating other countries due to expertise they have. So yeah, there is the other issue of immigration, where this is more of the law things, maybe, yeah, where they're supposed to file immigration to migration and return every year to ensure that whatever they are earning is being disclosed, yeah, in their return with the immigration in Tanzania. So let me have this 15 minutes of clarification or additional in case of anybody who will just want to chip in. Back to you, May.
All right.